Okay, strategy number 2 is the use the answers or questions to plug into the problem. So what this strategy is that, okay, you don't know how to answer this question. It says, for which real values of x is this defined? So you don't know what that means. You don't know how to do this. You don't know where to even start. So what I would do is I would use the answers to plug into x to see what happens when you do that. So I'm going to go through a couple examples on the other below this. They're just a little bit more clear, and then you can go back and try this one. Okay, so in the first one, in the top left, it says, if a squared plus 4x equals 12, what are the possible values of x? So if you remember, this is probably like back in September, October, we solved these by factoring. X squared plus 4x minus 12 equals 0. And then I'd have you break it up, and then you set each factor equal to 0, and you'd solve it. Okay, well, what happens if you forget that? It's okay. You can use these answers as to help you solve the problem. So all it's asking for is what values of x will allow the left side to equal the right side. So basically, if you plugged in a number for x, would the whole thing equal 12? If it did, it means it's a solution. If it didn't, it's not a solution. So the first thing that I do when I'm trying to use this strategy is I look at my answer choices. Here I have a negative 6, two 4s, and a 2 and a negative 2, a 3 and a 6. So I look at the things that repeat the most often, and I try those first, just because if those work, I can eliminate anything that doesn't have it in it. If they don't work, then I can, again, eliminate those two. So say I tried negative 6 first and it didn't work, that means I can eliminate A and B. Okay, if negative 6 worked, I can eliminate C, D, and E. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to try 4 first. So I'm going to say 4 squared plus 4 times 4 equals 12. Just plugging in this number for x. So I get 16 plus 16 equals 12. Well, I know 16 plus 16 does not equal 12. That means 4 is not a solution. So I'm going to cross off C and D. Okay, 4 is not a solution. That means I don't even have to test 3 because the other number that's in C doesn't work. Now I'm going to try negative 6. Okay, I'm not going to go to 6 because if 6 didn't work, I can only cross off E. If I tried negative 6 and it didn't work, then my answer is E. Okay, so just a little strategy. I like to try the ones that show up the most often. So negative 6 squared plus 4 times negative 6 equals 12. Remember that when you're substituting for x, you got to put parentheses around it. 36 plus negative 24, or 36 minus 24, is 12. So because 6 gave me, when I plugged in negative 6 and it gave me 12 on both sides, I know that that's a solution. That means their answers are either A or B. Now the only tiebreaker is to try and either plug in 2 or negative 2, but it doesn't matter which one you pick, because if 2 works, A is your answer. If 2 doesn't work, then B is your answer. So I've got 2 squared plus 4 times 2 equals 12. 4 plus 8 equals 12. Yep, 4 plus 8 does equal 12. So it's negative 6 and positive 2 work. So A is your answer. Okay, let's go over here. Here's the question mark. Read the sentence before it. It's only one thing. It says, which of the following is a solution set? So again, you're asking what numbers or number makes the left side equal the right side. So what these little brackets mean is it's just a list of x values that would solve this problem. So it's saying like x could equal 0 or x could equal 1, x equals 3, x equals 0, x equals 0, and x equals 3. Okay, and so on and so forth. So again, what I look at is numbers that repeat the most often. Numbers that repeat are 1, 0, 0, and 0, and then 3 and 3. So again, what I would do first is I would test the ones that show up the most often. I would test 0. So I'm going to plug in 0. 0 plus 1 equals 0 minus 1. square root of 1. The square root of 1 is 1, but 1 does not equal negative 1. That means I can cross off A, C, and D. I'm already down to 2 choices. I've done very little math. So again, the tiebreaker, do you test 3, do you test negative 1, or do you test 1? It doesn't matter. So I'm going to just test 3 just because I like that number. I'm going to plug that in. I don't want to deal with any negatives. So the square root of 3 plus 1 equals 3 minus 1. So this is square root of 4 equals 2. Square root of 4 does equal 2. So I know B is my answer. Okay, why don't you try the next 2 by yourself and see if you can get them right. Go ahead and pause the video. Okay, hopefully you had a chance to try those and you paused the video. Which of the following lists the real values of x that make this expression undefined? So something that you need to remember is what makes a fraction undefined. Okay, what makes a fraction undefined is when the denominator equals 0. Like if you have 4 over 0, this is undefined. So I want to know when this group, when x squared minus 2x minus 3 equals 0. Again, you could factor and solve, or you can use your answer choices below. Looking at the things that show up the most often, 0 and 0, 3, 3, negative 3, negative 3, 1, and 1. Okay, the only one that doesn't show up at all with another, there's no other negative 1 in these answer choices. So to me, I'm going to test negative 1 first just because it's kind of the oddball and I'm curious to see like, hey, does this one not work? So if this one doesn't work, then I can eliminate it, and I can probably eliminate the 3 too. But if negative 1 works, that's my answer and I'm done. So if you remember the one up here, okay, the negative 1, that one didn't repeat either, but the 0 repeated 3 times, so that's why I picked that one. Okay, I plugged in the 0 first. So the 0 repeated 3 times. Either I kept all 3 answer choices or I got rid of all 3. For this one down here, I'm going to do the negative 1 first and test that, because if that works, that's it. And everything else only repeats exactly twice. So there's no like really front runner on what repeats the most. So that's just what I do. If you want to test the other numbers, by all means go ahead. But that's just what I would go ahead and do myself. So negative 1 squared minus 2 times negative 1 minus 3. So this is 1 plus 2 minus 3. Yep, that equals 0. So like I said, C is your answer for this one. Okay, this one I'm not going to go through because it's just a lot of work to put out. So I would just encourage you to do this and try this in your calculator. It's hard for me to like show it in my calculator here. But it says which of the following is a solution set. So again, what you're trying to see is what number gets the left side equal to the right side. So you plug in all of these numbers, 0, 1/3, 2, and 3, to figure out which one would give the left side equal to the right side. A couple things before you go and try is this symbol right here in A, that means that there is no real solution, meaning that there is no value of x that will make the left side equal the right side. Okay, that's what that 0 means, 0 with a line through it. That's what that means. Second thing that I would stay away from is this fraction. I know you guys all love fractions, but I would stay away from plugging that in until you've tried all of your other possible options. So already you're down to 2 of them. You're down to 3 things. I think in the end, I think E is your answer if you go and work through the whole thing. So that would be your answer. But again, you're plugging things in to get the left side equal to the right side.